Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to episode 19 of We the Nerdy's Nerdflix and Chill. I am here with my good friend, Thane Tingley. I'm not starting the show like Gary, he's not here, so fuck him. Thane is taking over. Thane, how's it going, my friend? Oh, shut up, Thane.
Oh, hey. It was going well up until I was told to shut up, but I do enjoy fucking Gary, so we're off to a good start already.
A great start. I'm so glad that we're able to ship him off to the European side of the world, and we'll have you with your. I think people need to watch a YouTube video because I'm not used to being the fat one on this show. Thane's got some. It's worth your watch over on YouTube.com/Nerdflix and Chill. Thane, how long have we known each other?
Uh,
It
8 years?
might be like going on close to a decade. Thane and I, we celebrated birthdays together. We've gone through many stags. And one thing I know about Thane is that you're very enthusiastic. I'm encouraged by your energy already. I can tell you're just overflowing right now.
Well, I can see myself, and I know I'm going to hear myself eventually,
It's
and
the
that's
confidence
intimidating.
monitor. Gary and I always talk about the confidence monitor. I never really like pretend like I'm looking at him to the camera, but really I'm looking at the shine of my own forehead and just kind of getting a little nervous about that. Okay, so if you're new, here's the deal. Nerdflix and Chill publishes on iTunes and on Google Play and on youtube.com/we the nerdy. Every Friday, we talk about a new movie that we saw in the theater. We go back into our old DVD collection or Blu-ray or Netflix collection and watch an old movie that's somehow connected to last week's movie. It's complicated, but you'll get it. And what the heck else do? We talk about trailers, and that's sort of the deal. So now that Gary is out, we can actually keep this to like a contained 60-minute. That's our goal for today. Is to kind of Gary's gone. It's a totally new show. I'm not going to try and do what he does. I'm not going to use the word stoic or whatever other vocabulary he's bringing to the table.
Vivacious?
Vivacious? I don't know. Monochromatic is my word, but I think that I might kind of. We'll see. We'll see where Thane's at with this. But I think that this is going to be at a grade 8 reading level for everybody today, which is actually okay. So, Thane, I don't know if you saw the same trailers as I did. I saw this was because we went to see Don't Breathe. We saw a bunch of horror, not horror. We saw horror.
Horror.
I saw a horror film trailer. I believe I saw a film. Did you see? I saw Rings, Blair Witch, and then Resident Evil, and When the Bow Breaks.
Yes, same list.
We should have gone to the movie together. I don't know why we didn't do that.
I don't know.
What was your movie experience, like movie going experience like? Because I have a story before we jump into this.
It was actually quite wonderful. I had very low expectations for the theater for this very movie because I was expecting nothing but the sound of people eating candy for an hour and a half.
That's what I got.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. It
Oh,
was
lucky.
magical.
So a nice quiet theater, like everybody was they were in the mood.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody followed suit. They would only eat their treats at times when it was noisy, but when it got quiet and everybody was staring at the screen, not a single person was like, "I'm just gonna quietly try to get one M&M out of this bag for an hour."
It's like just get it over with. Good
Yeah.
God. I went by myself. I went by my lonesome. Caught this movie and I was like, it's because of this show that I started seeing movies by myself and I love it. I have to say, if you guys haven't done it before, like just go sneak away to like, just say you're coming home from work a little late, or Matt Fody, just skip the workout and go to the movie theater instead, because it's quite the feeling. Unless you sit in front of a row of millennials, these damn youths, and they are legit talking throughout the entire thing. To the point where about 3/4 of the way through the movie, like these guys are it's two dudes and they're having a full on, like you and I are having right now. It's as if they're separated by internet and Skype and they're having to somehow like make up for the distance. And I turn around and the guy's like, "Are you guys fucking serious?" And he's like, and then his other friend's like, "No man, you should shut up." It was awesome. The other guy just looks at him and goes like, I kind of wanted to say the same thing to you, but we're bros, so I can't really do that. So, other than that, I had a great theater experience. Let's talk about the trailers. Rings. I had no idea this movie was happening. Clearly, this is a successor to The Ring. Natural that they pluralize this into Rings. What did you think of this movie coming out on October 28th?
I like it. I'm a pretty big fan of the original Ring movie. The Ring 2 was not terrible. I truly enjoy that they found a way to keep this up to date because honestly, nobody's going to be plugging a VHS tape in nowadays.
Oh, you got to go to the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. So the email video clickbait scheme is it was good. I really like it. And I always like a movie where somebody is moving like this, all sketchy and weird. Every one of those I will see till I'm blue in the face.
Anytime a little girl throws her hair in front of her face and moves around like an insect, that's all you need. That's absolutely terrifying. I forgot about The Ring too, actually. I just remembered the first one. I totally forgot that was a thing. Too much given away in this, as always. I thought that there was kind of, you got too many beats of it. But I liked how there was one part where it showed the movie that kills everybody showed up on the plane.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's how you get them. But too bad you got to wait 7 days. If only this thing was a little more instant. I didn't understand. Like, was there some sort of panic that happens that causes something to happen on the plane? I guess we'll have to wait and see. So we are not going to be guessing Rotten Tomatoes. Did I say this on the air, or did I just say it to you off? I can't remember. We're not going to do it.
I think it was off air.
Okay, so I'm just going to explain everything because I'm lazy and I tend to break things when I try to add things to it. So Thane and I will not be guessing the Rotten Tomatoes while Gary is away. If you don't like it, then blame Gary. That's pretty much what I'm doing. And I don't even know if he's going to hear this. I don't know if they have internet in Europe. I hear they're in trouble over there. So that's kind of all I got.
Pretty sure they're on dial-up over there still.
I think so. Or like they use the tin cans with like the string in the middle. And they just kind of scream at each other like I don't know. I'm just here for Thane to laugh at my Thane jokes. I don't know. Appreciate it, buddy. The next one, we'll throw back to you. Did you even know that this was happening? The Blair Witch.
I heard about it. I didn't know it was happening so soon.
And like, do you remember when the first Blair Witch came out? Like, there was like, I don't know if a movie has done this ever since. Maybe Paranormal Activity a little bit, but I remember working at the annual festival, Klondike Days, and hearing people talk about it, like as we were going on rides and stuff. And there were these rumors that people were having heart attacks in the Blair Witch, like in the theater. Like it's so scary that people are like passing out and things like that. Watching this trailer brought back all of those memories of watching the Blair Witch from the first time.
Yeah, you know what? I actually wrote down a note right here. It says PTSD from number 1. That trailer just brought me back to the, I hope this isn't a spoiler for the first Blair Witch, but the very end scene when Buddy's standing in the corner not moving. I just wanted to kill myself. It was horribly terrible. I don't even know why. There's nothing scary about that. It's a fat guy standing in a corner.
I know, and that's the thing. Like, I remember when I watched the Blair Witch back then, everybody was freaking out about the guy standing in the corner, and that was supposed to be the thing that was scary. And I'm like, I don't get it. But somehow hearing other people be afraid of it like has sort of conditioned, like I now have a response to it, which is kind of weird. Because when I saw them, like, bull the corner, but it's like, what the, he's in any timeout? Like, it's kind of dumb. But those kind of like those weird twig mannequins that they have hanging everywhere, that's kind of enough to be creepy, I think.
Yeah.
Not enough?
There are no guys standing in a corner.
Is this a... I guess not. Is this a see it or skip it for you?
Generally movies like this I won't see in a theater, but honestly, seeing this last movie, The Don't Breathe, it's got me with some high hopes for scary jump flicks, so I might see it.
Good one. I am curious for sure. I never really thought the first one was great, but who knows? It might end up on a week where it's coming out September 16th, so it might end up. Who knows what else is coming out that week? There's no way to know what else is coming out that week. I've already talked about this one. I'm curious to know your thoughts on Resident Evil, the final chapter. Like, where are you at with the Resident Evil movies? Have you been following along this whole time?
I watch every one the day it comes out.
Do you really?
I am an absolute fan of these movies.
I love it. Okay, give me the rundown. Where are we at? Where are we at with Alice?
Um, she's been all over the board. The last movie really just twisted everything. I don't even know what happened in the last one. I've seen it twice. I still don't understand it. It's a mess. But from what I know now, she's infected. She's not infected. I think she might be a robot by now. Who knows? But it's all just this big search for something. I don't even know if it explains it. I'm thinking it
I
changes
don't
every
even know
time.
if does it matter. Like they brought the lasers back. That seems to be a nice little callback for people who haven't for people like me. I've totally checked out over the last, I don't know, 17 movies. Again,
Yeah,
no way to know how many of these movies there are.
I think they're in their 30s now.
Yeah, it's coming up close on The Land Before Time, I think.
Yeah. I did note down at one point in that trailer, I'm pretty sure I saw the guy from Jeepers Creepers. So I'm quite curious how
What
he ended
guy?
up in there. The big winged guy, like the monster from Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, it was probably the same dude. Like, I mean, how many roles can you get when you're walking around with these big wings? You can only you're gonna get typecast pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
When you look like that. I mean, whatever. The last one was funny to me in that like it's one of these things is not like the other, but depending on how you look at it, maybe this is a horror. It's When the Bell Breaks. It's sort of like pitched like a horror movie in that there's a couple, they're having some trouble having a baby, so they get a surrogate, and then that surrogate mother kind of falls in love or in lust with the father, and then hell ensues. It's funny how she is sort of like she's made to sort of resemble maybe like a killer monster like Jason or Freddy Krueger or something like that. It's like, don't mess with her. She's going to make you cheat on your wife. And oh my, you're going to regret that. But it had the same kind of like tone as a horror movie, but it's not. I don't know if this is something that you're at all interested in.
I don't know. The only thing I had to say about it was single black female, because it looked exactly the same as single white female to me, but they just put all black people in it.
So is this like when they do Armageddon and Deep Impact, but they just do it with different races?
Exactly.
I think we're on. I think we're onto something there. I think we should start. Oh, I'm gonna have to think about this. We'll have to come back maybe at the end of the episode if we can recreate some of our favorite movie franchises or favorite movies and just recast everybody. It's almost like Tyler Perry presents Wayne's World. Like who would be in that? I don't know. Why don't you guys tweet at us? Thane is at Thane Tingley. I'm at Sean Capri on Twitter. You guys should let us know, or leave a comment on the Facebook thing or whatever. I don't know. Do whatever you guys want. It'd be fun to let us know. Who would be in Tyler Perry's Wayne's World? Just me. Oh man, I love this show. Okay, we're gonna move things along. We saw a movie in the theater. It was called Don't Breathe. I failed to follow those instructions. I was required to breathe throughout the entire movie, but I did hold my breath a few times. Let's Thane.
Yes.
I'm wondering overall. Rotten Tomatoes is at 87. Gary almost nailed this. We'll revisit the Rotten Tomatoes game when Gary comes back. Just off the top, quick thoughts on Don't Breathe. Wait. Tell me what it's about. Just kidding. Don't tell me what you think about it. What the hell is this movie? For the people who have no idea what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go spoiler free here. I hope. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull from the trailer. It looks like we got some down on their luck teen to early 20-somethings looking to make one final score to escape their run-down lives in Detroit. Find out about some guy who's hoarding a bunch of cash in his lonely house, and he's blind, and they want to go in there and get the money. And turns out this blind guy's not so helpless. Gets them all locked in there, and scary things ensue.
Yeah, he's quite helpful, actually. He's not helpless. He's full of help. And yeah, so we're going to do a quick spoiler-free review of the movie. As I mentioned, Rotten Tomatoes is very high on this, critically acclaimed almost. I believe it's certified fresh. And this is a different take on the horror genre. There's a couple of twists in here that we won't spoil for everybody. The trailer almost spoils it, and that's as much as I'll say about that. A different take, not a whole lot of gore. I don't know why I thought maybe that like this was gonna. It started to look like Hostel to me. So I was thinking like maybe a bunch of these teens, 20-somethings, are gonna get stuck in this house and there's just gonna be a murder spree. That's not really what this movie is, and I sort of respect the restraint that the director shows in this, in that it's not a gore fest, but there's a couple jump scares in that definitely got me. I don't know if you were kind of throwing the popcorn around at any moments here.
I never jump scare. It's
Ever?
kind of it's pretty much my talent. It's, if I had to write down my life skills, like for a job interview, say, one of them would be is that I cannot be startled. I don't know if it's because I'm kind of slow, so when things happen, it takes me longer to process, or
You can always kind of like hide it as if it's not like you react 10 minutes later.
yeah, exactly.
You just throw it off like a sneeze, maybe.
Yeah, I've trained myself for every time I'm scared, instead of jumping, I just eat popcorn.
Yeah. So we have the blind old dude is an angry old vet, or he has some sort of military training. We know him from Avatar. Is that where I know him from?
Yeah, the scary scratch face dude.
Yeah, he's always got some sort of damage
Facial
happening
scar.
to his face. He is blind, but very deadly in this. I wish that the trailer didn't give away. They actually give away one huge part about who lives and who doesn't live in this. That was kind of ruined for me. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I think everybody should go see it. And I like the way that they sort of portrayed this old man as almost like a monster, kind of like I was talking about, joking with When the Bow Breaks. It was kind of like he was on a hunt, but in a way that it was sort of fair. He clearly had the advantage of he could just kill you with his bare hands if he wanted to, but he can't see. So I kind of liked how I was worried that we were going to get bogged down and we're in the same setting, we're in the same house, and I guess the hook of the movie I thought was going to get old. But there's enough midway through here that it kept things interesting for me. What did you think?
I thought it was. I think Gary said it when you guys were talking about it before you watched it there. But it's a really original idea for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't really been anything too much like this. Like I got a bit of a People Under the Stairs feel from it.
Oh, good one.
Just punk kids breaking in for a score kind of deal. But yeah, I don't know, the story itself. It seemed to be pulled out of thin air. Like you haven't really seen anything much quite like this.
Yeah, like it seems easy enough to just go rob a blind dude, but I mean he's setting up booby traps and he's got locks in places you don't think. I liked a lot of the. It sounds weird to say, but I liked the violence in it. I thought like it was kind of creative.
Yeah.
The way that and visceral, and just the way that like there's. I don't want to spoil anything, but some hand-to-hand stuff just really gets to me. It's not like we're seeing. It's not like Saw. It's not that type of violence, but it still makes you kind of like cringe a little bit. Like I was definitely tightening up in the movie theater. One of the things I did not like about the movie, and I feel like the writing could have been a little tighter on this end, is that it has like 6 endings. It's sort of just like it kind of keeps fading out, and then it keeps fading, and you're like, just kidding, that's not the end. So that's my only but that's maybe a bit of a horror movie trope as well, where you're like, you think that you've won, but like just one more thing, you're kind of fucked. Other than that, I don't know. There's not a whole lot to really unpack here. It's a pretty basic movie. Decent, I mean, as far as horror performances go. I thought the villain was great. He has kind of like a weird, scary old man accent here that I dug. I thought the motivations to rob him were actually kind of like they're fine. Nothing like not.
Yeah, no, they had good backstories for the kids. Maybe not. What was the guy's name? Money.
Money is a terrible name.
Yeah, everything about that guy I just didn't like, but I liked I liked Tessa there and her little boyfriend.
Of course, Tessa from Suburgatory is the star of this movie.
I don't even know. Like I've been trying to figure out what her name was. Oh, Rocky.
Yeah, great names all across the board here. A couple things that I did note about the movie as well here is nothing great in terms of like the cinematography, but good use of lighting and especially the sound effects. I mean, obviously this is in a way trying to put you in the shoes of the blind guy, where it's like all you have is your sense of hearing, sense of sound. That didn't sound right in my head. If only we could edit these weird parts out, I would just like make this sound so much better. I thought the sound effects were really cool, and there's different kind of interesting ways they sort of do a little foreshadowing as they get into the house of what you're gonna see. They take a little a tour around the house of all the different tools and traps. And you're like, oh, I wonder what's that hammer for? Man, what's under that? What's under that lock? Or where's he got the money? And you are kind of wondering what's going to happen to these guys the entire time. And I enjoyed the journey that they brought us along. Great sound effects, really impactful, and not overly, I mentioned the jump scares, but it's not overly reliant on the jump scares. It really is just kind of, you're tense the entire time.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you there. It's yeah, more edge of your seat, like prolonged tension, as opposed to all of a sudden out of nowhere you got Jeepers Creepers guy in your face. I really liked the scenes, like the full blackout scenes, the way they portrayed that. I was expecting from the previews, I kind of thought it was going to be like, the hell was that? Rollerball. When they do the night scene and it's all like glowy green and everything jumps out at you. I thought it was going to look a lot like that. But this scene, I think you mentioned in the last episode there, you're talking about the way their pupils are absolutely dilated for it.
Yeah, they're just like trying to get, like, it's almost like if you were running out of air and you're gasping for breath. It's like their eyes are just trying to get any like little bit of light and just trying to see what the heck is in front of them. And the way that I would like to see how they made that. I want to know if they are actually in pitch black.
Yeah.
Or if they're in Vin Diesel. I don't know, movie dirt nerds will get that reference. But the way that they kind of like wave in front of them, like, where am I? And they just don't have no sense. And he clearly, like, he's blind, so he kind of looks for different kind of physical cues of where he's at with it. So I thought that was really well done. Again, the twist, I'm not going to give away, but was twisted, and things get really weird, really, do I say rapey? Am I allowed? That's not spoiling too much.
No, I don't think so.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. Let's give it a rating there, Thane. Out of 5 stars, where are you at with Don't Breathe?
I am gonna go with probably 4. I was going in there anticipating a solid 2, because like I mentioned earlier, I thought for sure I was gonna hate the whole experience due to people eating snacks. But no, it was,
the movie was pretty decent.
The movie was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't bored at any point. Like you mentioned there, the backstories were super good. It wasn't your cliche, 3 teens going to college, just want to party and need some extra cash for a keg. They had legit reasoning.
Just get the F out of Detroit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody could understand that.
Absolutely.
Like, we're in Detroit, we're stuck here. And by the way, I've got this dirtbag mom and her dirtbag boyfriend, so we're going to just, yeah. I mean, those are products of Detroit. That's what I hear. All right, enough about crapping all over Detroit. Let's get into... Actually, I forgot to give you my rating. I'm right there with you, 4 out of 5 stars. Super original in terms of the premise. I like the sense of not being able to see, but you obviously have to. That's a fine balance, I think, just in the visual medium of movies to portray that not being able to see is kind of a big deal. I thought they did this quite well. I don't know if there's any potential for sequel here. I like this just kind of on its own. One of the most original movies I've seen all summer. I'm right with critics on this. I'm 4 out of 5. So you are correct, sir.
Yeah. I would love it if they never made a sequel to this.
Most movies I am like that. I don't want sequels most of the time. Even if they come 16 years later in the form of Independence Day, Resurgence. Speaking of movies with colons, actually this one doesn't have a colon. It's a poor segue. Our 6 Degrees of Chill movie this week is Terminator Salvation. So again, we're going to dive into some spoilers here, everybody. This is the part of the show where we take a suggestion from the listeners. So maybe it's Matt Fody, maybe it's Corey Giltner, maybe it's Jennifer Belland. I don't know who it's going to be. We take a suggestion, we throw it in the random number generator, and we pick a movie to watch. You guys are more than welcome to watch it with us, and then maybe get nostalgic like Sean Fedunik and just eat a whole bunch of food. Just make yourself like 3 pizzas. And am I outing him a little bit here?
No, okay, he put it on social media. It's out.
All right. We are, and by the way, it's when I started podcasting, I realized that I say out weird. I'm super self-conscious of the way I say we definitely say out. We say out weird. So now it's in your the Human Torch was denied a bank loan. We need to do our warm-ups to get a little lazy on the out. I don't know where I'm going with this. Gary, where the hell are you? Okay, so 6 Degrees of Chill. It always connects to the movie like last week. The movie this week is Terminator Salvation. It joined up with Christian Bale, who was obviously in Batman Begins last week. We're going to choose a movie that is connected to Terminator Salvation this week. The random number generator has already chosen it, but we'll get to that in a minute. We always start with our thoughts at the start of this. Thane, I'll throw it back to you. What are your thoughts on the Terminator Salvation? Give us a little brief thought. Give us a rating, and we'll jump right into it.
If this weren't called Terminator Salvation, I'd probably give it like a solid 3.5. But because they threw the word Terminator in front of it, it drops it down to a 2. I think it was completely unnecessary for it to be a Terminator movie. I don't like it as a tie-in with all that stuff.
Oh, we are in for a good chat. Okay, let's do this. Before I jump in, I'm curious as to like your history growing up with Terminator. For me, Terminator 2 was always like this mystic movie that was forbidden. This was the R-rated, like adult-only movie that if you were one of the cool kids, you somehow managed to grab a VHS tape from somewhere or maybe watch it on Super Channel or something like that. You managed to watch this if you were cool. I was not cool, and I didn't watch this for a very long time because it was always supposed to be super violent, super scary. Like where were you with Terminator growing up?
I don't even remember when I watched it. I know I watched every movie young because I didn't really have any filters in the household. We pretty much just watched anything.
You were a cool kid.
Yeah, I was. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I was a cool kid.
Let's say I was cool enough to watch Terminator, but didn't have anybody to talk about it with.
Aw, you needed a podcast. You needed like a Walkman podcast.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that movie. So I enjoyed like all the Terminators.
Like the lore, like are you thinking like, because I look at Google, I'm like, well, that's clearly Skynet. Like I'm sort of infatuated by the idea of man versus machine, time travel. Like to me, the series kind of captures a lot of what kind of interests me, like crazy violence and interesting action sequences and things like that. To me, Terminator is actually kind of a big deal. So I was disappointed with 3. Like I definitely go, so before we move on, let's do the first 4. Rank the 4 Terminator movies.
Which ones are the 4? Like okay, Salvation's so 4?
Yeah, Salvation is 4. So the first one is clearly like Arnie is the bad guy. 2, Arnie's a good guy. 3, he's still a good guy. He beats up women. And 4 is this one with Christian Bale.
2, 1, 3, 4. But 4 shouldn't be on the list.
So because it's not okay. I let's see. You said 2, 1, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. I don't like the first Terminator very much. I don't think that. I think that last 30 minutes kind of ruins it. It almost ruins this movie as well. I'm gonna go 2, 4, 1, 3. I think 3 is absolute garbage. After you guys are done sending us your opinions on what Tyler Perry's Wayne's World would be like, let us know what your rankings. I haven't seen the new Terminator yet. I sort of boycotted it along with Jurassic World and any of these other movies that are clearly just money grabs, like apparently Independence Day I had to see for this show. My thoughts are not a 2. So I was digging this movie the whole way along. I thought this is kind of when I watched Terminator 2 and I imagined like what would the future look like. Like I always wanted to, once I saw that movie, I wanted to jump forward in time to see like what is the war versus machines actually look like. And I feel like your issue with this being a Terminator movie being its kind of like main detractor. To me, the worst part of this movie is when in the opening credits it says directed by McG, and I'm like, that's McG is such not like it's such a terrible name. It seems like now we're supposed to be watching a music video.
I always thought it was MCG. I didn't know it was a McG.
I think it's a McG. Now I'm second guessing myself.
You're probably more right than me.
Well, maybe we'll call it down the middle. So it's hard to say like I'm really looking forward to McG's master. Like nobody says that.
That's a Russian spice.
So I was watching this all the way along. I'm digging it. I like Christian Bale a lot. I actually think he holds a gun really well. I think that was a weird note that I made partly way through. I think he holds a gun well. I think he screams weird. I don't like his screaming. It actually bugs me more in this than I know a lot of people have a problem with his bat voice. I have more problem with his, I feel like, overacting, maybe hiding his accent to sound more like a John Connor. And everything goes well until we see naked Arnold in the end, but we'll get to that. My thoughts on this movie are a little higher than a 2. I would actually go, I'm just going to be different. I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5. I really like this movie, and I know that's not a popular opinion. I also have a director's cut of this, but I watched the theatrical release, but I want to go back and see, like, what would McG do? If he could make a cut, what would McG do? I'm curious of that. So usually what we do is kind of go through beat by beat. I don't know if you took like those sort of notes, or if you want to go through the movie like that. Where are you at, Thane?
I'm either way. I took notes, and they're on pages, but they're all over the place, so I had to number them.
This is
they they kind of go beat by beat. So you go where you want with this.
Okay, let's just do our thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about Christian Bale off the start. He's sort of him and Sam Worthington are the leads here. So a couple of things about this movie. This is your last chance, by the way, if you haven't seen this and you are worried about spoilers from a movie that came out in 2009, starring Christian Bale, Sam Worthington, Anton Yelchin, rest in peace, Moon Bloodgood. That is a great name. She plays Blair, our good friend Blair Hamilton. What's up? We have Tim Burton's. Is Tim Burton married to Helena Bonham Carter?
Oh yeah, they've been married forever.
Yeah, so she plays a cancer patient in this, and then a machine later. And then Michael Ironside, directed by McG. This movie came out May 21st, 2009. It was made on a $200 million budget and grossed $372 million, which is worldwide. So it did pretty well. Again, this isn't a time where like $1 billion wasn't the target. I feel like this did quite well. Runs at around 2 hours and a whopping 33% on the Rotten Tomatoes score.
See, they got it right.
So I am clearly the outsider on this. And here's the thing, like you talked about it at the start too, about how like this is great unless if it wasn't called a Terminator movie, you would have liked this a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Elaborate. Explain yourself. What the hell are you talking about?
I feel like somebody wrote a really sweet sci-fi action movie and couldn't market it to anybody. So they're like, hey, wait a minute. If we put Terminator in front of this Salvation, people might be into it. Just change this dude's name to John Connor and give him that sweet scar on his face. Done. It ties it into the movies. That's all we need. Throw some Guns N' Roses in there. We're good. And on the flip side of that, I also always liked the mystery with the Terminator movies. Like, you hear about this future and stuff. Mm-hmm. I liked never actually seeing it because it leads you to kind of have this hope that at some point in this franchise, they're actually going to stop Judgment Day. But now we're seeing the Judgment Day. Of course, that's a paradox in itself, because if it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be people going into the past to create said day.
I'm getting a nosebleed just thinking about this. Just when you said that, my hand sort of like disappeared a little bit. Like I'm Back to the Future. I don't know. Is it this? I don't even know if it's the same time travel rules. I love how they somehow find a way to just throw a naked bodybuilder into the mix no matter what.
Oh, absolutely.
It was just at a time when Arnold was governor. He wasn't really supposed to be in here at all.
Yeah, he wasn't in it. He couldn't be. That was some other dude with like a digital Ernie face.
Yeah, exactly. Which was not too terrible. I ding a lot of movies a lot for crappy CG, and I thought that this did a decent enough job of mixing in some CG robot skeletons, but mostly what it seemed like practical effects, and I like that the robots seemed heavy. Like I like when I look at computer generated graphics, everybody seems to be floating along. They never really seem to like really stomp on the ground or have really any impact. And these things seem like they were made from like just tons and tons of steel, and they seem really tough. And if you hit them, they're not going to move and things like that. I always liked the design of the T-800s or all the different Terminators. I think that they're terrifying.
Yeah.
And just like those red eyes and I just think it's almost like Aliens, where like you don't see anything designed in that way anymore at all. These are creatures of the late 80s, and we just don't see anything like this anymore. So I liked it. I'm curious is what would make this an okay movie? Just the fact like you don't want to see this future at all.
No, not really. I liked the not knowing, just seeing the flashes. My cats are eating the Ethernet cords, so if this goes down,
blame the cats.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, we already know how you feel, so I'll just ramble on a little bit. So why I liked it. I thought it was a very pretty movie, and maybe that's the thing that like people will make fun of me about this movie a little bit, because like I liked there's a lot of colored lights, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of pretty. It's not I feel like this is not trying to be a James Cameron movie, and I felt like the third one did do that. They tried. They even like kind of shamelessly copied some of the old scenes. This one does a little bit more of a clever nod. There's a couple things like, there's a great scene with the motorcycles versus a semi truck, and I'm like, oh, this is exactly like the second one, but the roles are reversed. And
yeah,
I really enjoyed that. Let's see. So we start out, and John Connor is kind of they do the thing that usually, and I think in your case you're right, or this jives with you, they give you the rundown of the whole situation, the whole lore of the Terminator universe in just a quick little paragraph. Not quite as clever as what Star Wars does, but kind of like a little text blurb at the start. Go like, just so everybody knows, in case you've never seen a Terminator movie, here's what's going on.
Yeah, just a quick one paragraph fill in on the last 40 years of history.
Yeah, John Connor is a savior. And this was the thing that I kind of liked about this movie, in that it I never understood watching Terminator 2, like what was John Connor going to do? Like it's not like he had any like military training, or like he was hotwiring cars or stealing from ATMs back in the day, but like how is that really, or he's good at video games? I'm like, I don't understand how that makes him like the leader of the resistance. But this one, they kind of show him as that savior figure. He's broadcasting out hope and kind of like telling everybody the plan of what they're going to do to Skynet. So I liked what they did with John Connor, although I wish that John Furlong just worked out. I wish they had like the same actor for John Connor this whole time. It's always somebody new.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good. You're right there.
Yeah.
I was bothered by the whole John Connor thing being the savior for a couple of points. The fact that he knows these robots before they appear and stuff like that. He's obviously described it to people. You can hear it in their whispers when they're pulling up all those data files, and they're like, it's just like you described. And it seems like the bosses, like the leaders in their little boat there, they take no stock in what he says. Mm-hmm. He's got cassette tapes with vital information about the future that hasn't even come yet. And yet he's just got him stashed away. Like it seems like nobody cares. Nobody listens to him. They all just kind of shrub him off, give him his little platoon in the middle of nowhere and call it a day. And that bothered me a bit. You'd think he would take more stock in something that's proven true.
See, and I kind of like, they kind of pitch him as like this. Nobody really knows if he's a prophet or if he's a false prophet or the savior. And I felt like that was probably, it's kind of against the lore, I guess, where they've kind of always said that he's going to be the savior of the leader of the resistance. That's how we've known that what was going to happen. And it's almost very in character for Sarah Connor to have maybe stretched the truth a little bit, or maybe taken what she's heard and just taken it to the nth degree, make him feel more important than what he ultimately would become. But I feel like the roles that he plays in this are sort of meaningful, and he does show a sense of he would sacrifice everything to save even just a small part of the human race. So I like the action in this. We get a little bit of Michael Ironside. We have I just like the design of all the robots and all the killing machines in this.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's keep on going. I liked how at one point they actually discover. So the whole crux of the movie is the human resistance has discovered this frequency that will be the end of Skynet. They can home in on this and just basically shut down all the robots. And the way that they're transferring over this frequency is like a little USB stick. And I just love how like we're just locked in with this technology. I guess that might be what happens, but those are the things that kind of like jump out at me like really we're just keeping around that USB technology, I guess. We never in this universe we never moved on to I don't know, SD cards. I don't know why I have such a big deal about this, but it's kind of dumb. Again, everything has practical offense. We come to know that Marcus is Sam Worthington's character, Marcus. He's a criminal in his previous life. He's given sort of like a second chance and basically signs his body over to science and signs a contract in the beginning with Cyberdyne. They're going to give him new life, but he doesn't really understand what is going on. He reappears later in the movie, and we learn that he is a robot-human hybrid. And this is a first for Skynet. They've managed to almost they basically trick him into thinking that he's human. I'm curious as to what you thought of Sam Worthington's sort of plot line through this, or was there any saving this movie at all, or is this just crap for you?
No, I enjoyed the movie. I just there's it's just the Terminator aspect that bothered me about it. I like they were biting a franchise, but
See, I like Sam
Worth
Worthington though. He was good.
he was wonderful. I loved everything about his character. The only thing that kind of got to me a bit was he kind of comes to the big realization when they have him tied to the truck axle there. But watching the scenes, knowing what's coming, I was kind of watching for little things that might stand out. And one of them was all these times that people are eating and stuff, he never eats, and it never really. He doesn't seem to question the fact that he's not hungry. And when he's getting the shit kicked out of him by these robots and stuff, like, I don't know about you, but if I bang my knee on a table, I pull my pant leg up to look at my knee and go, for at least 5 minutes. But you got to see if there's a cut or something. If I had a giant ass robot punch me in the stomach against a wall, I'm pulling my shirt up to have a look at that. Like, how did he not notice that he has a robot skeleton under his tattered flesh, hidden by a Fruit of the Loom t-shirt?
Well, he starts to bleed a little bit when they're working on the car, and something happens, and he bleeds, and they clean him up a little bit, and it's kind of like, oh, he is human. But you're right. You see him kind of getting the crap kicked out of him, and it's not really until he gets blown open and he looks down at his robot rib cage. He goes, no.
Yeah.
Like, really? That's when. So I guess I'm with you there, but I was along for the ride for sure. I like this idea of like because the last two Terminators are always like one up in each other. They're trying to. So the T-1000 was like he's made of liquid metal. You can't destroy him unless you freeze him, and then you hit him, and then he shatters and all that stuff. And then the next one, they just kept upping the ante, and it's like, well, why didn't they just send that one the first time? This Terminator is way more like the lady Terminator in T3 was way more badass than the guy who's now in Scorpio. It doesn't make any sense. So I like this idea of merging. It's a different take on the Terminator solution to take care of John Connor. They've got this kind of like hybrid system where his skeleton is robot, but his heart is human, which is weird, and it's an invulnerable spot, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. And the chip that they've got is kind of like melded in with his cerebellum. Is that the bio 20 kind of kicking in for me there?
I can assure you, you're asking the wrong person.
Yep, somewhere in that back, like the itchy part of your head. And I think that's what they call that, the
I
cerebellum.
have a psychology book beside me if you want me to look.
If only there was like this wealth of knowledge, this world wide web of knowledge that we could look it up. But I believe it's part of the cerebellum. So I like that. I like that he sort of like infiltrates. Things are going along quite well. I like that there's like the machines are clearly dominant. The humans actually have no chance, and that's the sort of the theme that's been going along with Terminator this entire time. Is they actually have no chance. Right from the nuclear fire to the cleanup crews of these robot skeletons are just murdering everybody left, right, and center. The odds are stacked against the humans. And what I liked about this movie is that to me, there was like a choice of how you do a movie like this set in the future. If we're going to just get over the fact that this movie was going to happen in the future, so just get over yourself, Thane. This movie happened. It is what it is. So to me, there's two ways they could have done this. The way that they did do it, which I'll get to in a second, and the other option would have been more of like a Braveheart kind of like, let's just create the most massive, just get as many people versus as many machines as possible, kind of like in this huge field just running at each other, like a mosh pit kind of thing. I'm glad they didn't do that. They didn't do like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing. And they could have. They did a little bit more, I almost want to say intimate, because even though this movie is not intimate at all, but it's on a smaller scale. There's like these little mini battles of just how fucked everybody is. Anytime there's just like, it just takes one of these Terminator, one of these machines to take out a whole swarm of people, and they're grabbing them up and throwing them into prison. And even if you think you're safe, you're just going to have this giant machine come up out of the ground and just kill everybody. And I like the idea of these little mini sequences of 10 or 12 people dying, I guess, rather than just mass murder, which I feel like they easily could have done. And it just shows how devastating any one of these machines are, let alone the global network that they sort of refer to and allude to throughout the movie. I never wanted to see that. And I feel like, to your point, there is still a bit of mystery and mystique around what is Skynet, like what is their true potential. I don't really want to see that. It's just, what are the little battles about, and how are the humans, like what are they doing to overcome some of these things. There's always some sort of trick to each. You almost want like there to be a little flashing weak point, and they just have to hit that 3 times, and then the boss goes down. You kind of want that kind of approach with some of these guys. So I don't know. I was sort of rambling a little bit here. I really liked the movie. You did not like the movie. Is there a point where you realize in the movie that you're just not into it? Or were you kind of pretty early on?
I don't know. It's impossible to nail down a point. Like,
it was just all bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining. I liked it. As far as just watching some mindless action and stuff like that. Any movie where I could just shut off and in front of stuff blowing up is fantastic to me. It's the Terminator themes that they plugged in through the whole thing that bothered me, with the exception of the throwback to Terminator 2, where John Connor drops some Guns N' Roses to steal a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that.
I liked that a lot. That was a cool callback, but I wish that was a callback to a movie that this wasn't part of a franchise too.
How about Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese? Was this kind of like, I mean, this was the first time you see it, but where are you at with him?
That whole relationship with those two, it's kind of like when you watch the Terminator 2, the theme of that is, Arnold Schwarzenegger befriends John Connor, and they hang out. It's like a father-son kind of relationship, and that's what you see with Sam Worthington and Anton there. And I enjoyed that whole scene. Like, Sam Worthington's kind of a badass and stuff, but still he's teaching him lessons, like with the shotgun rope and stuff like that. And I mean, at this point, anything that Anton does, I'll just praise, because he's wonderful.
Well, unfortunately,
and now gone.
He'll be doing. I can't even make that joke. I'm just gonna filter right there. I liked it too, and that, like, this is something for fans of the series to go into the 4th movie and then to reintroduce Kyle Reese as kind of like this young whippersnapper. He doesn't know what is in front of him, but it's also sort of behind him because it's in the past. But it hasn't happened for him yet. I love that everybody, including the audience, everybody in the cast of characters, they all know what will happen for Kyle Reese. And they're just sort of making sure that he is able to play out that role. It's almost like a reverse for what we've seen with John Connor in the past, where everybody but him knows what's in store for him. And it's just a matter of, well, the machines want to take him out, but everybody else want to make sure that he survives. And even that whole concept is kind of weird. It's like, why don't you just keep going back in time? Are they running out of time machines? Are they like... I never really understood that whole. You only get one shot at taking out John Connor while he's a teenager. You time travel.
Yeah, there's so many loopholes to so many time travel movies. I love time travel movies,
We should.
but stuff like that, yeah, it bothers me. Like, oh, one Terminator didn't do it. Let's send 50.
I enjoy the biker Terminators. They kind of look like the Geth. Did you ever play Mass Effect?
No.
Oh, they look like a character in Mass Effect. I thought that was awesome. Everything was great. So the whole movie sort of carries itself basically up until the humans break into the Skynet sort of facility, and this is when the exposition kind of takes over, where Marcus discovers, or is explained to him what his purpose was, and Helena, I never know how to say her name, Tim Burton's wife, the cancer patient, explains everything, just lays it all out. And it's like, we've been watching the movie. This is where things really get dumbed down, and Terminator is a smarter franchise than this. I was along for the whole ride basically until the last half an hour when we see Naked Arnold, which is fine. He's a specimen, even in digital form, he's fine. But yeah, when they start to go, we tricked you, and here's how we tricked you. And not only did we trick you, we tricked all the humans as well. That frequency was just a trap. It was just a lure to lure them into a false sense of security. But really, we know what's up, and we're gonna mess you guys up big time. Like, I didn't need that part, and there was a whole lot of dialogue that was unnecessary, and it's just, I think that shows maybe a lack of confidence, or just kind of lowering it down to the lowest common denominator of, this is an action movie, and in case you haven't been following along, this is what has happened. So I didn't like the exposition near the end, but every single explosion in this movie made it all okay. I like real looking explosions. I don't want CG explosions, little bits and pieces, and where it looks like they just burn through a whole bunch of gasoline and some sort of fuel.
Yeah.
I liked all that. Any
Yeah.
final thoughts on Terminator Salvation? No colon.
No colon. No, I wish it wasn't a Terminator. Oh, there was one thing I marked
What
down
did I
here.
miss?
I really like, there was a flashback scene, and I think it was in Terminator 2. It was very quick, of John Connor as an old man looking with his binoculars across a battlefield or something, and he had that scar on his face. I really like that they gave him that scar in this movie with the frozen, melted, super hot, cold robot.
Oh yeah, how could I skip over that? Okay, so I don't know why I skipped, because it was a whole bunch of exposition, but then we have the final scene, which is really the huge callback to the Terminator. Well, every Terminator has to end in a lava facility.
Yeah,
Some
some
sort.
place that
Factory is the
melts
word I'm
some
looking
sort of
for.
metal.
Definitely, yeah, some sort of metal shop. So the Naked Arnold is around for a couple of minutes. They clearly had the rights to use his likeness for a couple of minutes, but then they just sear the skin off of him.
Face
Which I
first.
thought I thought that was so cheesy. It was just, it's kind of like Spider-Man in Avengers, and this isn't really spoilers, but Spider-Man isn't in the entire movie, and when there's a clear moment in Avengers where, like, you're done, which is basically, to me, says, we only had you for a few minutes. We were only allowed to rent you for a few minutes, so now you're
Yeah.
done. And that's basically what this movie did, the same thing. We're just going to take a grenade launcher or whatever it was to just blow the skin off of this guy, and now he's just fighting any other giant robot. So a decent fight. Things aren't looking so good for John Connor. Marcus saves him because he's, since having everything revealed to him, he's decided that he is going to follow the path of a human. He rips out the chip from his cerebellum, which is kind of thinly, like, it's just barely underneath
Yeah, it
the
almost
skin.
looked like a hairpiece.
Yeah, like
if
or an
anything
ingrown
else.
hair.
Yeah,
It's one of
yeah.
those, like, nagging, like, oh, I hate those things. So he tears that out, and he decides he's going to go fight for the humans, but he has robo strength. And he saves John Connor, fights the dude, but unfortunately he's got a heart, and it's the heart that is his weakness. Gets punched in the heart and collapses. John Connor actually brings him back to life with a good kind of, like, his own shot to the heart. So this heart's playing a big role for Marcus. John Connor gets stabbed through the back. You think all is done. Blah, blah, blah. He's brought back. They blow the place up, and Marcus gives him his heart. Was this a touching moment for you?
It was, but then the person who watched way too much House in me kind of spoke up and said, "What are the odds that that heart would be compatible with John Connor's body?"
Yeah, that's the part that's like I've been okay with everything. Actually, you haven't been, so that's fair. But there's funny things with the Terminator movies. You're like, yeah, I'm along for the ride, except for that. That's bullshit. I call it
Yeah.
on that. Okay, so I like the movie. What the heck did we? You gave your rating at 2. I was 3.5. Guys, let us know in the comments below the YouTube video, youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. You can let us know on the Facebook post and whatever else there is. Let us know what you thought of Terminator Salvation. I liked it, but I think I might be the only one. I think I'm forgiving quite a bit, and I actually understand that. Christian Bale was a little weak. The story, the exposition, a little weak. But I'm a sucker for great action, and just liked it a lot. So, coming to the end of the show, we have to decide what next week's 6 Degrees of Chill is. There is a number of ways we could have connected this. People found very interesting ways. I'm just going to give a straight shout out to Corey Giltner, always finding a way to connect Howard the Duck. I know this pleases you greatly, Thane.
It does. Howard the Duck is the greatest movie ever made.
One day we'll get to it, but unfortunately the random number generator is against it. I want to give shout outs to my guest, Thane. Your suggestions there. Corey Hicks at Chixie_2. Blair Hamilton, Matt Fody. I'm holding off a burp if you guys can't tell. I think it's going away. I'll get rid of it later. Blair Hamilton. Who else we got here? Samantha Liggett. Thank you guys so much for your suggestions. We've had great ones like The Lion King, Smokin' Aces. Matt Fody realized that there's a connection with Danny Elfman to Army of Darkness. I love that. Let's see, Monster Squad. Blair also said American Hustle. That would have been a good one. Matt Fody with Zoolander and Starship Troopers. Yeah, some really great stuff here. Unfortunately, the random number generator has selected one of Thane's movies.
Oh.
And it's a connection with Sam Worthington. We're going to go to the magical land of Pandora and watch Avatar.
Shit.
I don't know what you're thinking here. I get to just ream you out in person. I hate Avatar. I haven't watched it in years, and I don't think it deserves a second watch or whatever I'm at, third, fourth watch. Doesn't deserve it at all, but here we are. It's the random number generator. This is how you guys know that the random number generator is legit, because I'm not pleased. There are way better movies I could have kind of fixed this. But nonetheless, how you're giggling over there. What's going on?
I love that movie.
You love Avatar?
I have it on 3D Blu-ray special edition.
How did you get it on 3D? At one point it was only available with a Panasonic 3D TV.
Oh no, it's Amazon later on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were super hardcore. You're just so taken by the 3D technology.
I bought the television just
like a $4,500 TV just to get Avatar. So that is the movie for next week. Avatar, James Cameron's. I guess that's sort of a weird connection to Terminator as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. I'll take it for that. We got some other business here to take care of. We got to decide on a movie for next week. The two options that I saw were The Light Between Oceans, which is the Michael Fassbender, a.k.a. Magneto, and the new Lara Croft. And I'm forgetting her name. She was in Ex
Alicia
Machina.
Vikander.
That's her. And actually, I didn't forget. I just don't know how to say her last name. So thank you for helping me out there. It's kind of like when you meet, when you come across somebody you've met before, be like, I don't remember their name. So you get the person next to you to introduce themselves.
Oh, absolutely. I do that with my wife all the time.
Tricked you. You just want to shove it in the face. I didn't know your name a second ago. Totally got her. But you can't really celebrate that win. That's a silent victory inside.
Yeah.
But on podcasts, there are no such things as silent victories. You tell everybody everything. What are your thoughts? Do you want to go see this Light Between Oceans or Morgan, the Kate Mara creepy movie with a teenage monster produced by Ridley Scott?
Well, the Kate Mara movie does sound like fun, but I think it's time we get some chick flick in here.
Oh! I think there's an opportunity for some Nerdflix and Chill after Nerdflix and Chill, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
I mean watching episode 19 and then going back a week and watching episode 18.
I don't know what you just said.
That's all right. People are it'll compute. You'll listen back later.
I will. I want to hear this later and be like, I'm an idiot.
Like, or Sean's an idiot, and that was like a really terrible joke. Okay, that is all, as my friend Bobby Pauls would say. You guys can follow us on Twitter. I am at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. My good friend Thane Tingley is at Thane Tingley on the Twitter. You can follow him and let him know that he's awesome. Please subscribe if you haven't already to Nerdflix and Chill. We're on iTunes and Google Play. You can find us on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. WeTheNerdy.com is a website. It has some stuff on it. I should probably learn to plug things on it, but there's comics on it. So if you like comics, I don't know, check it out. Otherwise, this has been episode 19 of Nerdflix and Chill. It is now in your ears. I don't know how Gary normally closes this. Does he ramble and then I say I love you? Do you want to say I love you?
And that's how the cookie crumbles.